What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reacting to a video from the roommates titled, "Should Men Today Get Married?" Let's go ahead and get right into this video. Make sure you guys don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So here we go.
One of the questions that people always ask is, what is the incentive of a very successful, especially financially successful man to settle down and get married? So I'm very curious about, from your personal perspective, as a man who was being successful, who had an onward trajectory, who was doing so well, what made you decide to get married?
The risk is very high, by the way, to get married. You know, for me, when I was 28, I had made a decision I'm never going to get married. I said, I'm staying single. And my assistant, very good friend of mine at that time, Sandra, Patty, said, why don't you go read this book, 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged by Norman Wright. So I read the book. When I read the book, I'm like, interesting.
All right, so what are your thoughts on him being proactive, ultimately educating himself on the subject? At 28, he was like, nah, I ain't doing this. And I guess when he got older, he decided to maybe give it another look. But ultimately, it seems like he was moving with intention when he decided to move forward to get married. And he had 4 women that he was speaking with, and I'm assuming he introduced them to the book. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think, honestly, I'm really happy he took a second look, just because when you're in, especially, I guess, for men, right? When you're in your 20s, you're not really sure how you want to maybe go about marriage or family, all that kind of stuff, right? You're still kind of maybe unsure and still figuring things out. So I'm glad to see that he was able to revisit the situation, and then now taking the advice from one of his assistants, I think he said, to say, no, you know what? Maybe read the book and get educated more about it and learn a little bit more before you completely exit out. So I'm glad he went about to go get more research about it, and on top of it, to vet out the girls that he's talking to, being like, this was good, so let me try to send this off to them, see what they're able to gather from it, and then I'll be able to say if this is someone that I want to continue with, or just say no.
Right, and a lot of people don't really ask intentional questions. They're more concerned about the marriage, what food is going to be served at the wedding.
Oh man, don't even get me started.
Versus having these premarital questions to decide, am I going to be with this person for the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Oh my God.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, because women are over here talking about, what's my dress going to look like? How many people do I want to invite to my wedding? Where do I want to have my wedding? How many, all this nonsense stuff. Women want the materialistic things.
The vanity stuff.
Yeah, the ring, how big is your ring? All that kind of stuff,
the carats of the ring,
Yeah, it's such... It's very, like you said, it's vanity, right? It's not anything of substance of what's actually gonna be beneficial for a long-lasting marriage.
Why get married? There's way too much risk to it. So then I sat there and said, well, you have somebody to come home to every night. You can still have somebody to come home to if you're single. Matter of fact, you can have options. If you know what I mean? When you have the money, you can do whatever you want to do with that. Yeah. But tax benefits, I don't care about that. I can move to another state and get better tax benefits. It's somebody that it's somebody that can help you. It's somebody that can do this. Not there yet. And then it goes to, okay, look, you can make all the money in the world. Then what? What leaves you? A book? Yeah, they say the Jewish proverb says there's 3 things every man should do. Write a book, plant a tree, have a son. Why? Because they all outlive you. We as men want to live thousands of years. The only way you're going to live thousands of years is by the value you bring to the world that's documented, is by giving back to, and I know the tree is what they're saying with tree, not even tree today, because a tree is being cut down and turned into paper. It's a business model now, right? But it's family, it's blood.
And that's a good point. I mean, having a legacy behind, right? I mean, let's be honest, we all want to live forever. And the best way to really live forever, once we're gone, is to have children and to pass on generational wealth, right? I mean, he has a successful business. Obviously, he doesn't want that business to die with him. He wants to transfer that business onto his kids, so on and so forth, and kind of keep that wealth going. Exactly. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree with you. I think just having the mindset of legacy and, what can you do on this earth while you're here to benefit other people, help others, as well as once you're gone, to still be able to think of all right, what I'm leaving behind is still working itself by family being able to take care of that and things like that.
Yeah. So I guess to answer the question, should men today get married? I guess it depends if you want to have a legacy behind and if you want children. I think that would be the primary reasons why a man should get married.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and continue. Let's see what else he says.
The rules about getting married today. If I'm a man, I'm not getting married before 30 at all. I would not even think about getting married pre-30. A lot of people argue with me. You don't know what you're talking about. I got married at 22 years old and I'm happily married. I'm 62. 22, 62, that was 40 years ago. That means the 80s.
Yeah.
You didn't have social media. You didn't have Snapchat. You didn't have Tinder. You don't have accessibility to what's out there today. Accessibility to sex today is so easy. The ability to be tempted today and screw up is so easy. The ability to screw up and make a royally, publicly humiliating mistake today is very high.
All right, so what are your thoughts on that? He's basically saying a man should get married over 30. And I would agree with that because when you're in your 20s, you're still developing as a man. You don't know who you really are or who you're trying to be, right? So those 10 years of, when you're in your 20s, you should really be developing yourself, getting some experience under your belt, just living the single life, seeing what you like and what you don't like. And ultimately, once you hit 30, you should have an understanding as to who you are. You should be seasoned in the game, so to speak, and you should start to make a little bit of money. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Honestly, I think, especially for the most part, if you get married at a young age before you're really sure, right, and then you fall into let's say societal pressures and whatever else that can come with that, it could lead to a lot of problems down the line. So it's better for you to know what you want, right, and to have enough life experience to say, no, I'm ready for this next step in my life.
The risk is high today. The reward is not as high as it used to be because at least back in the days, say you and your wife got into a fight 20 years ago. You got a 30-minute drive, okay? And at the office, you talk to her. Why don't I come home and talk to you tonight? You got 30 minutes to calm down by the time you come home. Today, if you get into a fight, instantly, that second, what you want to say, you say. So you offend, scar. It's just like, dude, I'm so done with this marriage. So today we have too much of the opportunity to react instantly. There's too much instant reaction. And hey, you don't know what you're talking about. That fight is too instant. So those are all scars that you're leaving on each other, right? And eventually, after all the scars, you get, it's like, I just have no desire to do anything with you in bed anymore. I really don't. I'm good. You're facing this way. She's facing that way. So it has to be built on the right values and principles. It has to be somebody that you date for some time and you see all the dark side of them and yourself to see if you can do this or not.
A lot of risk that comes with marriage, correct? So if you are going to take the gamble and get into marriage, you want to make sure you are with the right person, right? You do everything in your power to vet this person out, really give it enough time to understand if this is you need to be able to have a solid understanding of who this person is and what they value, their characteristics, and things that maybe make them upset. And you should know all around what this person is like before committing to them lifelong. No one's gonna sit here and guarantee anything for you, right? For anybody, even if you go into a business, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be successful, right? But at the same time, you do the best to your ability.
Watch how people argue. I remember one time my wife, we were dating, and she is about to lose financially. She wasn't in the best of place at that time. Certain, challenges took place. She was in a mortgage real estate business. And 1 month, she calls, we've been together for 3 months. She says, this month, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
She, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I'm like, really? Yeah. What are you thinking you're going to do? I don't know. What do you think I should do? I said, well, number one, I would go return your BMW that you have. That's $850 a month car payment, white convertible. I'd go return that and say, can't pay the payment anymore. What else would you do? Number two, I'd go back and I would get a Nissan Sentra, $200 a month. That saves you $600 a month. Okay, what else would you do? I'd go back, and I know you're doing insurance and real estate right now. I'd go back and get your old job where you worked to give you a good shift where they can pay you $40,000. That at least covers your, expenses. What else would you do? Boom, boom, boom. I said what I said. And she says, okay. I said, what do you mean? Let's go return the car. I said, you sure? That day, we drove to BMW. She returned her car. Then we drove up to Sentra. She got the Sentra. Then she went back to her job and she got a job. And so I said, never once did she say, can you lend me $1,250?
Sounds like a keeper to me.
Yeah, no, she passed a test that she didn't even know, like, honestly. And especially knowing that, like, I'm sure she knows, like, that he's very well off and he's financially good, right? So he was probably thinking, oh, is she going to ask me for the money or was she going to figure it out?
You know what I mean?
And guess what? She took his guidance and she was like, all right, you clearly know what you're talking about, you know, and, like, I trust your decision. So, yeah, okay, let's go. We're good.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about you. You allow me to lead and you trust what I say. And, you know, regardless of if you agree or disagree, you still move forward with that. So, you know, I appreciate that.
No, of course. Well, because I trust you, right? And I know that, like, you're, like, especially you have more life that you've lived more than me, obviously.
Yeah, I got 10 years on you.
Yeah, I'm 10 years younger than you. So, of course, like, just even that alone, and I know that you've experienced more than me and everything. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Like, I trust you. I know you know what you're doing.
But even then, like, somebody could have 20 years on you and you still not trust that person. Let me ask you this. I mean, since the people are watching at home, what inclined you to want to trust me?
I guess we can start off from, like, when we first started talking. You were, like, just initially, you were a very kind person. I knew that from just the questions that I was asking, getting to know each other and stuff, you seemed like you had a good head on your shoulders as well. You knew, like, and I knew, like, that you had a plan for yourself and there were things you spoke more long term, and I was like, all right, this is someone I can actually see myself with. And then from there, as time went on and the more I was around you and I saw your habits and how disciplined you are and all these different characteristics, that I was like, wow, he's so, like, such an incredible guy. I'm just like, okay, like, obviously he's doing really well for himself, so I want, like, I trust you because I know you'll put me in that best direction as well. So it was easy for me to trust you because you showed me. It was not more as much you were talking about it. Yeah. It was more like I saw your day to day. I saw how you moved, and it was just like, all right, like, yeah, okay, you didn't make it hard for me to trust you. It was very easy.
I think the advantage of a man's ability to raise his son is so important in today, especially as the world gets more and more crazier. I just think, you know, that's one of the incentives for me, is that, like, similar to how my father was able to be in my life. And I know you shared a story last time on the podcast, how having that 1 day a week with your dad really shaped your life. And I always said that I grew up very rich. And people are like, oh my gosh, you know, you were spoiled. How much cars? You're like, no. My parents were immigrants. We had no money. But my dad gave me so much love and time.
You know, he grew up with his father, and ultimately, you know, no money in the world could replace that feeling, right? To replace the teachings that he provided him. Obviously, you had your father with you. Maybe share a little bit about your experiences and maybe how he shaped your life.
Oh, my dad's the best. Like, he's everything to me. Like, honestly, like, if I think for me, I was more of a daddy's girl growing up. So for me, I've had a very close relationship all throughout my life with my dad, and even to this day, like, it's just we've always been super close. So I can't imagine not having him around or him not having that influence on me as well. Like, so my dad was he was an aerospace engineer for over, like, 20 some years or whatever. So for him, like, he influenced me to go in this certain career route that I'm going into, and just having him guide me in my life and, like, being there whenever I needed support. And honestly, even my dad is just such a nice person, and he's just taught me so much about my character and how to be a good person, like, overall. So I can't even, like, I can go on and on about how amazing my dad is. Like, he truly is, like, an incredible man. And I cannot be more grateful to have him in my life. So for me, I would hope for more people to have that experience as well. So
yeah, and that's a testimony to why fathers need to be in their child's life, right? And I think that's, again, the reason why a man should get married, because ultimately you want to have that firm structure, that solid structure, so that your child is able to have the full potential in life and really maximize his potential. But let's go ahead and continue.
Wife. So if your son was 32 years old, you know, he established himself financially, you see he's doing well, and he's trying to settle down, what would be 3 criteria that you give him for a wife that comes off the top of your mind?
Yeah, so first of all, you have to be physically attracted. So that's not even one of the 3, but you do have to be physically attracted. Okay. So the whole idea about, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, no, it matters. Okay, it matters. And by the way, my wife and I, till today, we talk and we say, hey, we have to stay in shape for each other. We have to be attractive to each other. We have to want to have sex with each other, because that is a very important part of marriage. So it's not like 280 pounds, but you said through thick and thin. Yeah, it's a little too much thick right now, and I'd like some thin, right? But
all right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and end this video. I mean, this is a pretty interesting conversation. What are your final thoughts?
No, this is just, he's throwing out a lot of facts. I'm really refreshed to hear someone speaking more positively about marriage, especially being in his financial situation as well. He's very well off, right? Like he's a millionaire, guys. So for him to say that, like, no, like he's been married for a few years now. I think he has 2 kids or something like that. So so far he's happy in his marriage and everything's going well for him. So it can definitely be possible for more people. I think he also pointed out a huge thing that I always talk about is ask the right questions, or talk more, communicate.
Anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this video. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time.
Bye, guys.